Morning. Morning. Yeah, that's. I have to say morning meeting. So. So nice. Okay. Did you eat?
Started off kind of shaky. This kid, sometimes he strikes out, sometimes he hits grand slam. So I would, it went well. I hope that you guys correct the mistakes. Okay, go back and correct it.
What do you take your hands at?
Algebra,
Oh. Man, I tell you, man.
like, I've been teaching pre-algebra. This will be my 4th year.
Oh, wow.
Starting with this month. But algebra, I taught for the first time last year. I really liked it. And then you want me to teach geometry. I initially said yes, but I got to teach algebra. No new prep. It's like fine, Brian. Fine, Brian.
And then.
Okay.
Morning, take a look at stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So, think about. Then.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2.
Maybe not that.
Just see Hunter at formationtech.com.
What happened to it? Presentation. You know what code juice for back in the day? POG, passion, guava, and 15 battalions. I said, you know, so I've seen from the law. I know you're thinking, right? Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Will you share your presentation? Yes. And now we're trying to report, so we need to do a teaching session at the report. Yeah, and then do that's kind of how I mean. So I was in, you know, I'm gonna see the report yesterday. So that it's really. And maybe we'll do a help. You're like, oh, you know, you might have a day. And then I know they're all traveling internationally right now, but they still are. I know Jerome and Scott. Yeah. It's really hard because the response stuff when we need it. So I know I can only control things in my control. But I'm upset. That's not in my control. I just need to add one of those to the website so that way you can make a different account. That function. Or just something like any enter your PTE or with Microsoft and then we're licensing. I'm glad. So like, when I woke up this morning, I was expecting like speaking now. Because you're weekly. Oh, yeah. Like I give them the last 2 days, so. I guess pretty much. don't know what time I'm on. So I think for mine, just screencast it for like setting up a teacher account, so that way I can do like a screencast of setting up a teacher account. You know what I mean? I think it's just easier. The QR code one, we could totally do live, but I guess that one live, which is shared.
I have two presentations,
Okay.
but it's a different email than the one I gave you yesterday.
Okay. What are you using to present? Is it
I'm
all,
gonna use Canva.
you're gonna use Canva? If you can share it with me from
Okay.
Canva, right? Yeah. So, chunter@formationtech.com. Yep.
You're charged. Pretty sure we were charged. And turned on, turn it off, turn it on. Did you get a new Wi-Fi password for today? Or am I asking you? Because it says my online session expires in 3 minutes. Yeah, it was a problem. So I'm assuming it's probably 082. Try it again. Oh, you password yesterday? 0822. Yeah. So. I just Can you remember his password? Chris's. C vector.
Yeah.
How many of you guys are using these?
Oh, I should probably know. You already can put a hand up
Yeah.
Sorry, good morning.
Well, yeah, yesterday I went and grabbed a few minutes, I realized it.
Okay, I read We show up to work together and we need matching outfits. Like, we don't know what to It's like. Yeah, so 9:05 we started. Oh, yeah. But now it's not changing to log and
You might need to forget the network. It's been wildly inconvenient. The only time I've seen fell apart is when they did the one. And it showed it.
Oh, I love that part. That's a pretty good one.
I showed the one with China, I showed the China. Yeah.
I think my favorite one was like the homeless person one that had a whole song about how California is nice and people.
The homeless people.
The homeless people.
Morgan,
Yeah.
there is a hot dog.
There was a hot. So you just
It's one complaint
you walk almost past the pool, and on the right hand side is kind of heated, and then outside was the roaches. Okay. So, but it's a sensible hot tub. So I actually named one.
Do we have a different password to get into the Wi-Fi or the same?
Same.
Okay, got it.
No, we're doing a few Angels game.
All right.
Right, you can finish yourself all that.
Give me another one, I'm a problem solver.
Man, she settled.
Dean, how was your class last night?
That was fun.
Internet worked okay?
Yeah.
Because there's faster internet in this room.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, yeah, no problem. It's just I need a balance.
All problem, whatever.
Thank you. Well, we have another one, but I don't know if we can fix it.
He was knocking the ball out.
So Jerome was like, oh, I'm gonna email you by the other day, we never fixed that yesterday. And so I told him to camp this morning, that it's done, and it's not, so I don't know if we should.
I thought I saw this happen.
He said, I got, he emailed me earlier in the week and said I would do them later. I don't know, so we say we can done by the end of the year. So maybe you got an email like me, I was like,
Does anyone have a Surface charger?
So we don't have to.
what type of one is?
Oh, it's a unique Surface one.
Oh, really?
No, I get that one.
All right. One, three. Avatar. I don't know.
My parents like, oh, it's free for 3 days. We can postpone.
He wants to just give it to that. I just want to go. I don't know. I don't want to mess with. I don't want to go through the police lineup and stuff.
You don't want to take your own.
I got a photo. I got a photo of it when I was young. Oh wow.
It's the meeting one, right, Roland?
Oh my goodness. Awful.
I mean, I'll check my outlook right now. Oh, create accounts.
Got it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's during Orland, do we have, oh, yeah, keep it right here, guys. Here. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting when we live stream. I think there needs to be a better way to do this because we set passwords for their kind of stop accounts.
Can you send each one their password?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, okay. Just for future when we're not all together, we can get it out. We got it?
Tentative group structure of the original.
Is everyone logged in and have the internet ready to go? Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning.
Not letting you join, what, join the Wi-Fi?
It's just my
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everyone sleep okay?
Much better.
Second night was better. What was the driving? It was much better. Yeah, there was an accident yesterday and today it was better. Good. Well, today we've got a few things on our agenda. One is we have a discussion around digital citizenship and safety. Two, we're going to hopefully get into our HTML code stop experience today, and a little bit on our spreadsheets. But before we do our morning check-in, a couple of housekeepings. One, y'all need to take some pictures around our balloon arch. And so you can remember not only this incredible week, but we're going to do some social media posting for us out there. We have to take pictures with the new friends that you've met and old ones that you're reacquainting with. You guys can leave anytime to go get coffee refills, whatever. And to get a coffee refill, even though they close the door, you can just slide it open and go in there. So it's a hack. It's a hack. You actually taught me that last year when I was here and you guys saw receptions are. So let's all start our morning with checking in. And this morning we will start with Ernie.
Well, I enjoyed hosting everybody last night. Courtney, I haven't talked to my mom yet about the ratings.
Yes, thank you.
I'm very happy. I was shocked by my son. That was moving for me, for him to speak like that. And Julia heard it. He said, "Our company." Not my company, it's our company. And yeah, part of my mind would love to have this company with my son one day, or our kids. There's the future is to be determined, right? And so that's kind of part of my process. So, just keep definitely has mental mind. Definitely does have trouble talking, which is opposite of me. I was scared. It was such a shy day and excited. Nothing like that. So it was a proud moment for him. Yeah. And having you guys over was great. Hopefully, Chris, you said okay.
Oh, yeah, he's fine.
That was a little concerning.
No, it's
dangerous.
No, we were here and we had to jam back down and run some errands, and he was running to the parking garage right immediately after, so it's fine. Thank you.
Last time I'm saying again tonight with the Port of Queen. Check in.
All right, Warren.
Had a great night last night, a lot of good food, and it was nice to get to know everyone and actually getting to interact with people in person and not over Zoom for a change. That's really nice. Same, even going to a training, that's over Zoom. It's a really nice change for the last 2 years. Looking forward to hopefully getting code stop working for you guys today. So I'm sending you all messages in Slack right now with the code stop passwords. And I'm checking.
Is there anybody not on Slack?
I keep getting it off the Wi-Fi, but working on it. So you need to disconnect from the network and then forget it, and then restart.
All right, so we'll come over here and Charlie to check them. Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah. So last night was great, and, I feel like BT, community, family, if you will, really shines when we're together. So it was nice because we haven't had that for too long. And so now I feel like we're back, like the band's back together, and it's a good springboard for kind of our new school year. And so today, I'm just looking forward to, a deep dive into the curriculum and seeing all the good stuff that's been prepared. So I'm checking it.
Well, I'm glad I could make it last night. I met with my student last night. Started off kind of shaky, but he was hitting grand slams, solving the square root equation. I was really happy with that. So, hope he keeps it up. Crossing my fingers for Friday when he takes place with this. Let's see. I'm looking forward to the HTML stuff today. The rest of it, I guess I'm checking.
So, yeah, I had a really good time last night. Thank you so much for having us. Fantastic. And again, this was phenomenal. Please let everyone know. I am looking forward to hearing about the coding as well. I've never done HTML, I've worked with HTML. And I'm probably not going to be teaching it. That's middle school, right? Yeah. But still, I like hearing about it. And you never know, because I didn't, 2018, I didn't know I was going to be teaching computers either. So,
You teach middle school and you teach the younger?
Yes, yeah, I do elementary, it's middle school.
I'm going to pick up the grade.
Yeah. But I mean, because you never know what's going to happen. Before that, I was a science teacher. I was in science one. I thought, I've been teaching science for 7 years. This is it. I think this is my niche. And then, they called me and they're talking about my next year's responsibility. So we're going to take you out of science. Why? So after that, anytime a student or a parent asks me, so are you going to be teaching whatever next year? My response is now, well, we'll see. Could be every year, but we never know. So I am looking forward to hearing what this knows about teaching middle school.
That's right.
But yeah, looking forward to that. For getting more started out.
Yeah, last night was great. Again, thank you to your mom and Courtney for the food. Delicious. It was nice to be back. Seeing your house again and familiar, surroundings and getting to know a little bit more about everybody. So it was just fun to relax and great place. So yeah, I'm looking forward to again the HTML because I'm new to that as well. And also getting more prep done and organization for the school year.
You're going to get all your emails, right?
So the principal is supposed to send me my school email today.
Great.
So that should be good.
Well, I've loved the last 24 hours. It's been a lot of fun. Dinner was fantastic. And Courtney, a big thing as well. Great. And the sunset was incredible. Because every night I'd be out there. That's where Dean and I would have our happy hour. That would be good. I am looking forward today to seeing you all become confident in signing up for HTML and just the flow of all of our curriculum that we have with coding. Because I think it's pretty cool. And as I was first going through it, so Dean, my son-in-law, and myself actually started piloting it first. Not quite during COVID, but right after Ernie had mentioned it to us. And my philosophy is always like, I don't know, let's try it. Let's figure it out. Anything's a possibility with BTE. So let's figure it out. Ernie and I talked about so many things. And it was kind of fun. It's instant gratification, with a lot of it. So I'm looking forward to that today as and Wednesday. It's going to be really fun. Check in.
Good morning.
Let's see, yesterday, oh my goodness, I don't know, I just got home and I went to bed, I just took a shower and I went to bed. I said hi to my kids and that was it. And I normally don't do that, even my husband's like, you came up, I'm just fine. But I had a very nice rest. So I'm ready today, I'm looking forward, helping you out. I'm just ready for questions. I'm excited. With HTML, and not only the coding, but the whole lesson, the way how everything is put together, and all these little surprises that Morgan has for you guys. I like it. I'm excited for you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I felt a very, it was a good learning day yesterday. And of course, the dinner and the hospitality and the fellowship at your house last night, Ernie, was just a lovely experience. Beautiful home, beautiful family, and good food. Nice sunset. So I am looking forward to just learning more today. Of course, the game tonight. And the jacuzzi after. And I'm just trying to, in my mind, already sort of plan, just like how much and which ones and so on. So I think I need to study more when I go.
I would encourage you all to take out the overarching curriculum guide and have that printed out, have that somewhere visual for you. That really helped me as you were going through it as well. Like, okay, so this is the SEL term, this is character development, and this is technology. And it just helped because every grade is different. Just having that sheet on visual. So that was really helpful. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm checked in. Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I've got leftover meeting at everyone's last.
That's awesome. But yeah, someone fun last time, and the food was great. It was really good. Getting to know everyone, and I'm excited to hopefully share some code today and then some more chat.
All right, well, let's just jump right into talking about creating a safe and responsible digital learning community. If you are following any of the tech trends these days or listening to parents, there are two top trends that are happening. With the announcement of Meta with Facebook and the talk of Metaverse, it's actually reignited some of this discussion around digital safety. What is appropriate? Are we really going to be in this virtual world? How weird is that? There's a lot of fear going into it. You guys are the experts. You're the experts at your school. People are going to be asking you questions. We're going to catch Gabby up really fast to speed as she's figuring this out. But they're looking to you to calm their fears and to assure them that their students are safe. And we are teaching digital safety, digital citizenship that we have. So I wanted to just take a moment and show you where I started off with in my computer tech world. Christian back there, yeah. So that was my very first computer. I actually sold my Volkswagen car to buy a computer because I wanted to succeed in college. And the rep at the college school for the shop, the bookstore, he actually told me that they had spell check. Never heard of spell check. And I had a typewriter, you had to go, dang, and backwards, the little whiteout, and it was horrible. People had no idea. It was really traumatic, writing your college papers. And so literally that's what I did. I sold my little car to get the computer, but there wasn't any internet. There wasn't any online. It wasn't unsafe. It was just like this beefed up typewriter is what it felt like at the very beginning. I didn't get my first email until years later in a job that I had. Even my first job, we didn't have email.
Didn't even have Ethernet, did it? So why did you get an email?
Yeah. So it was a very different world that we lived in at that time. But now, that was over 30, that was 35 years ago with that first computer. So now we're looking at, we have some problems that we're actually addressing. Technology is always changing. BTE's tagline is technology is always changing. We are here to help. One of our first problems is social media is targeting our kids. We saw that with the Facebook and the social media companies, and they're actually going towards the teenagers. Well, any smart parent is going to say, what do I need to do to keep my kids safe? Cell phones are going into hands younger and younger. We have second graders that have cell phones in their hands at school, with the school shootings, with just safety issues. Parents are concerned and they want their kids to have these cell phones. So it's gone from being judgy, like, oh my gosh, you're putting a $1,000 device in your kindergartner's hand, to I understand. I understand why parents want to be able to have their kids call them at any moment in time. It's brought a whole new level of classroom management skills that we have to deal with, but there is that problem. So social media is targeting our kids and our teens. Problem number two, parents and schools can't keep up. They cannot keep up with cyberbullying. They cannot keep up with the stuff that happens online. It's enough for a school to be able to keep up with what's happening on their school campus, let alone what happens after school. And so when we have social media issues that even the police are really struggling with, that's a problem that we have. And then we really don't understand, what does it mean to be a digital citizen? That's a word that's talked about. What does it mean to be digitally safe? What does it mean to have digital literacy? What does it mean to be a digital citizen? Those are three completely different things that get lumped in to one big topic often. And people will use them interchangeably in the three completely different topics that we have. So another question that we have to ask is, what tools do we use and how do we use them? As educators, do we use some of the social media that's out there? Can we not? In the upper grades, can I use Facebook in my classroom? Can I use it for parents as a group or not? When I was getting my master's, they actually taught us to use Facebook as a group for our parents. So these are issues that you got to bring up with your school. What is your school's platform that they want? What do they want you using? It's gotten much easier now with Google Classroom specifically. I'm not sure about Canvas, but our kids could have conversations in their Google Classroom about the schoolwork around the class. So that was really helpful for me last year. I had quite a few discussions around exams coming up and projects due, and kids could constantly ask questions and interact. But even with that, and that was in a Bible class, I had to teach how to be appropriate, how to have math skills, manners online. So that was really interesting. So number one golden rule that we as educators are teaching all of our students is treat others as you want to be treated, online or offline. It all comes down to the golden rule. People of faith know we're to love God, love one another. The golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. And so at the kindergarten level on up, this is a message that is weaved throughout all of your curriculum. How do we treat others? Treat them how you want to be treated. We don't necessarily use, there's a lot of politics around teaching character traits in school. So depending on your school, I think everybody in here is at a Christian faith-based school, correct? No, you're not. You're not, yeah. So what Monica can teach is a little different than maybe what you can teach when it comes around those character traits. So again, that's just checking with Dr. Mon and saying, okay, what is okay here? But it's not like we've gone into, we're teaching kindness, we're teaching character, responsibility, grit.
You all know what the golden rule is.
Yeah. Perfect. So now let's define, what does it mean to be a digital citizen? Who can tell me, what does it mean to be a citizen? When we talk about being a citizen, what does that mean?
You're a member of a community.
A member of a community. So how does that member of community act? What does that mean to be a member of something?
To be kind of like a productive member, so that, and by productive, I mean not hindering the community in any way. Even if you're not always adding to it, you're not, being negative.
Should be includes more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Usually like a set of rules or values that they follow.
Yeah. So to be a citizen of the United States, right? We talk about, we learn the Constitution. for an immigrant coming over, they learn the Constitution as kids. Hopefully, we're looking at the Constitution. We're learning what our government is all about, what our country is all about, even amidst all of our, shenanigans that happen here in the United States. We're pretty proud, for the most part, to be, living in our country. And no matter what country you go to, people are proud. They were born, they were put there for a reason and a purpose. And there's something really neat about belonging somewhere and belonging to whatever country it is that you are from or live in at that time. So the founder, and I believe he's the president of ISTE, Richard Kulata, he has said, digital citizenship is not a list of don'ts, but a list of do's. So when we were first teaching digital citizenship 20 years ago, we were saying don't. Don't give your email out. Don't do a picture that looks like you. Don't give strangers your address. We're still saying all that. But the focus was on negative, negative, negative. We as educators, we don't need to be afraid of the internet. The internet is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's not leaving our kids. Our kids are going to need to learn how to engage in this digital online community. So we as educators, it starts with modeling. And we have to show a healthy emotional intelligence. We have to do healthy digital citizenship on a regular basis. We've all seen the online Twitter wars, Facebook wars, whatever it is. We've got to show that we're not engaging in that. We are who your school is looking to. So what is it that we are putting online? How are we contributing online in a positive, healthy way? What are we doing that's actually contributing positively to the culture around us? Next slide. Digital citizenship is a person who develops the skills and knowledge to effectively use the internet and other digital technology, especially in order to participate responsibly in social and civic activities online. So we've got the knowledge, we've got the skills to effectively use the internet and digital technology. We're teaching our students how to engage online, how to get online, right? How to search, we're going to be talking about images in a minute, how to do research online, all the skills that they need. But it's in order to participate responsibly. That's one of the reasons that we're teaching. It's not just how-to tools, how to do a spreadsheet, but we're also, every single project that you have is engaging students in how to be responsible online, how to be kind, how to engage with others, how to research ethically, not plagiarize. It's about that responsibility in everything that they're doing. Healthy digital citizens, we go next one, are positive, they're thankful, right? An attitude of gratitude online. They're encouragers. They think outside the box. They can go against the grain and not with the mob. And this is really important for us to be teaching, especially in the middle school development area. We don't have to go with what everybody's saying. Just because all of a sudden that girl is no longer popular does not mean we engage in that conversation online why she's no longer popular, right? We've seen a lot of hurtful things happen. But instead, we are teaching our students, what's an amazing thing you can find out about that person? I'll never forget my grandmother teaching me. As a young girl, there's always something amazing about a stranger as well as the person you know the most. And she was always complimenting people on something about them. She would say, isn't that woman's shoes super cute? Aren't they cute? Oh, they're a little kid. And then I started going around looking at people's shoes. I still look at people's shoes today. I'm like, oh, she's got such cute shoes on. I noticed Morgan's little teddies yesterday. I'm like, oh, those are so cute. It's about giving that positive. There's always something positive you can give and say about somebody, even if they rub you wrong. And we are modeling that and teaching that to our students. Even that knucklehead student that just wears you down, you can find something amazing and positive to be complimenting them on, to be encouraging them on, to be redirecting them from that knucklehead behavior that they're doing to something really positive. That's that same thing that we're doing physically, we're teaching our students how to do it in online spaces. This is about consuming and contributing. Our students will be on social media. You know, it is crazy to me. Even the most conservative, the most liberal, everybody's on social media. Now they may flip flop for what social medias they're on and who they're following and what they're doing, but for the most part, the majority of our students will end up being. We want to teach them to consume, to read and think. We want thinkers in the classroom. So when they're consuming, we want to teach them how to ask questions, which you're going to see in some of the curriculum. What do you think about that? What's another point of view that you have? Playing the devil's advocate, not just, and learning what's fact and fiction, right? That's really important. Fake news was big, 2 years ago, everybody was talking about fake news, as well as what's plagiarism, what's not, what are people using that's not even their own. But we don't want students just forwarding, sharing. We want them to engage with the text. That's how we develop thinkers. Critical thinkers engage in asking questions of the person who posted. We want to practice active listening. That's how you're a citizen anywhere, right? Practicing active listening, really spending time saying, tell me more about that. I love that phrase, tell me more. Tell me more. I want to hear what it is that you have to say. Present evidence and personal experiences that support your opinions. We are having a world of opinion shares. Everybody's an expert now. You guys remember that commercial? I don't know if it was Holiday Inn or Hilton that was like, I slept at a Hilton, so now I feel really smart and I can do surgery on the person next to me. It was a commercial that went out and it was hilarious. It was probably 20 years ago. But you know, you would sleep at this hotel and then you just woke up feeling really educated. I'm not sure how the two went together, but I remember the commercial. Yeah. Today's world, everybody feels like they're an expert at something. All they have to do is Google, look, I got the facts right here. There's really no depth of insight. And we are teaching our students how to have this depth of insight. We are teaching them to tag and to mention community members and stay on topic. So when they are online, and they're going to be doing in the upper grades, commenting on one another's work and be doing some collaborative assignments together. And so, you know, we want to be teaching them how to tag in that Google Classroom or wherever it is they're collaborating working to stay on topic and to work together and actively engage in original thought. We've given a lot of creative projects for kids to be able to have their own original thought, not just share somebody else's. It'd be great if we could just get away from everybody just sharing, but nobody's even researched where that came from, or is that quote actually true, right? There's just a lot of like, are you kidding? They didn't really say that. Yeah, I remember seeing a quote from Charlie Brown creator, Charles Schulz, that then wasn't even a quote of his. You know, so it's like, let's teach our students to have their own original creative thought, or at least to look up and make sure the quote is accurate before they post it. We need to teach those skills with them. Altogether, digital citizenship is about curating a positive and effective digital footprint. Be that citizen that is leaving a good footprint wherever you go. One of the first projects, I think it's in the undergrades, is about leaving a positive digital footprint that we have. And it's really cute. It's got actual little footprints that they create going along. But that's what we're encouraging our students to do. By the end of this year, they need to know what digital citizenship is all about, to talk about it. We had an incident last year with Morgan regarding emails, correct?
Yep, I had a student hack into my email account, and he wasn't able to get in because I had the two-step authenticator with Gmail. But it shows you, you know, the IP address and when the login was. And when I told the family and the school, they were kind of like, meh. And then when I brought it up with administration, they were like, well, we thought BTE was taking care of that. And we had kids logging into each other's accounts because the school made all of their Gmail passwords for every single student the same, and then had no login to the student iPad. So students were logging in, not logging in, just turning on the iPads and sending inappropriate emails to principal from other kids. And there was no way to track it because everyone has the same password and they're doing it off the kid's iPad. So they we're like, we got BT was taking care of that. So,
Which they only had BT curriculum for like, what, a month at that time?
A couple.
yeah, like a month at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't even hit that yet again. Yeah, but now it's changed, but it's important to learn. But we did have kids who took the learning to heart because a student went to Colleen because I wasn't there. And I guess the student who was trying to log in did get into my typing account and he was showing other students and other students did go to Colleen and we're like, we know this is wrong. We want you and Skylar to know. So when we did get to those parts of the lessons, they did get home because they did something about it. They said something. So they do work. It just, we hadn't picked them yet.
Yeah, it does, but it's something that we need to be talking about with our students all along, because it's very responsible.
Yeah, and that brings up a good topic in terms of our role within the school. We're the technology, we're seen as the technology expert, but we're also just teachers teaching students. So we're trying to impart all of this onto our students, but on the back end, it's good to know, we want to know how the information technology of the school is managed, right? And how that's done. And it's worth asking some questions. We're all at the same point and trying to get things set up, right? We want to get our classes set up. We need to know who the rosters are. We need to know, how students are going to get access to computers. So that's worthwhile conversations to have with however all the technology is managed within the school. And then and sometimes it's the admin that takes care of it, depending on the size of the school. They may not have an IT expert. That's why they might think it's, you're the person to go to. And certainly in the faculty, they might think you might be the person to go to. They may not know, how to get stuff set up. So then these are some conversations to have with your administration too, as far as how do they want things managed? And they may not know. So having these kind of conversations will be helpful to your school and also be helpful to you to see like how all this stuff is managed, because I feel like a lot of times on the school environment, a lot of those issues that come up are things that fall through the cracks because they don't necessarily,
They don't think about it.
they don't think about it. They may not have a policy, and technology changes so quickly, their policy may not be able to catch up with it.
Yeah.
So, you're really on the front lines of that aspect.
Please use my story when talking to administration too. Like password 123 for every kid is a really bad idea, or having, even if it's iPads, Chromebooks, whatever they're using, have a password on it, because.
Which is why they need formation tech.
Yes, yes, they do. It's got to have a password on it, so that way, so even if all the students have really easy baby passwords when they're younger, other kids can't get into their computer where the accounts are logged into. So please use my horror story as an example of what happened, but I'm kind of glad it happened, because now if I go to another site and I get pushback, I have experience and documentation of this is what happens when you don't do that. Are you prepared for this to happen? As the technology expert at the school. So yeah, please use my story, share away, share the horror.
And when we're doing PD at schools, we're talking about this subject. This is something that needs to be talked about and put into our PD.
Yeah, and if you have a person like the formation tech or someone on site, and you have those conversations, they'll be able to guide you with some best practices, and you might be able to share your experience as a technology teacher, and then you take that information and you bring it to administration and say, hey, maybe this is the best course forward as opposed to what was happening before. And that can really help.
Also, for example, at my school, I am Google admin. So I make them change their passwords every year, especially the upper grades. The lower grades, it's more uniform because they need to get used to the whole password. But from second grade above, either, I make them change the password, or I have, I reset it and they have their choice. So that's something else you might want to consider with especially with the older students.
What really helped for me when I changed the passwords, I had a lot of pushback, but what helped stop some of the pushback was I created a Google Sheet, and I decided each class is its own tab in the sheet. And only the principal, Colleen, and I think the IT people had edit access to that sheet. So that way, you know, students, even if they got into their teacher's account, they couldn't get into the sheet without a password. Had all the students' accounts in there and had all of their passwords, because even if they aren't logging into each other's stuff, kids forget their passwords all the time. So it was really nice having a record of their passwords. And if your school doesn't want Clever and they have passwords for other things, then you just had a running record of all their passwords, and then you just copy and paste them to file into the next class they're into for the next year. So it was really nice keeping track of that. Even when you get parent emails at night, hey, my kid can't log into Google, or my kid can't log into Read Theory, you just copy it, send it to the parent, and it saves a lot of time versus me logging in, going into the LMS, looking up their account, and looking up their password, and then emailing the parent back.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work in the front end, but it's worth it later on in the school year. It saves me a lot of time.
All right, I want to give you guys some tools. ISTE is a phenomenal tool for you. They have free posters that you can download and have. So just go to ISTE.com. You can even just Google ISTE Digital Citizenship, and I think it'll take you right there to their free digital downloads that you have. Print these out, put them up around your rooms. They've got a bunch of different ones that they have. This is just one that I happen to like. You can even see if your school would like to have digital citizenship as a theme or something around campus. So there's posters around campus talking about it that we have, which I think would be pretty cool to just constantly be having this in all the teachers' minds as well as the students' minds that you have it. So digital citizenship goes beyond the conversations about personal responsibility. It's about being this active citizen, this contributor is what I call it, who sees the possibilities instead of problems, opportunities instead of risks, as they create a positive and effective digital footprint. We are teaching our students to be contributors. All of these projects that they're creating are fabulous, and hopefully they're going to be using these skills for the good at some point in their life. And so we're teaching them, how can you be a healthy digital contributor? How can you show your emotional intelligence, your cultural intelligence, your actual math and reading science intelligence, your IQ, EQ, CQ is what I call them of the three, while you're online at all times and be contributing. And then I also have let's talk a second now about image searching. All right, so here are some pages that I have that I will share on Slack that have that generally are safe searching online. And I say generally because we have always got to be proactive. So I have done it in my younger grades where I've actually downloaded images on the computer that only they can use and not search at all. But that's up to you and how you and your school are managing your classroom. But once they get to 5th, 6th, 7th grade is when they are going online. Most schools have blocks, right? Does any school here not have a block? I think that's actually yours doesn't. Oh.
Before I used to search the pictures and put it in Google Photos.
Yeah.
But last year, all of a sudden, any students who were new that have a new account, Google Photos does not allow sharing. So it would say, remember Morgan when I was going to share my pictures?
One of who was training, and then out of nowhere, it just stopped working. And she and I were both stumped and emailed Google, and Google didn't have a fix.
And I contacted Google, and they said because it was like an extension, they were not going to help me out.
Yeah.
But that was something that, and I think I even asked the group last year, like, hey, does anybody know how to figure this out? Because that was our way how we would grab all our pictures through Google Photos.
So, but something that we have got to do, because students are at home searching all the time, right? They're searching at lunch and they can pull their phone out in school, we have got to teach them how to say search. And I have a song that I learned as a little kid, and I share it even with my middle schools. Careful little eyes, what you see. But be careful little eyes, what you see. Follow Murphy's love, it is looking down in love, so be careful, little eyes, what you see. And I don't mean it as a guilt trip on students. I actually share it because these images that we put in our mind, you can't even see. And I had a student this year who I was actually teaching about Moses and the midwives, and the midwives being told that they needed to kill the babies, and the whole mess in the book of Exodus. So we're having this history lesson, we're talking about it, and this young man who was brand new to our school was, what's a midwife? And so I explained in a very appropriate seventh grader way. And he decided to go on YouTube during lunch and search it. He was super curious. He wasn't meaning it for ill intent. He was curious. And he thought it was kind of cool. There was people there. It's pretty cool. What's that, babies? This kid's like, I don't know. So there's a whole story behind this stuff. And during COVID, this kid had just been allowed to watch and see whatever. So he is at the lunch table with his phone, watching YouTube on a baby being born. So not necessarily meant to be pornographic, but certainly would have been blocked if it was on our school network. And so, of course, whenever, the yard, you see a bunch of kids huddled around a phone, when you're not supposed to have phones out, they didn't take it, so it became this thing. But it also became a learning experience for all of the students. Just don't do that. You don't do that. And this is why, you don't need, a seventh grader doesn't need to see necessarily a baby being born, especially if it's not like in this family control unit, right? Yeah.
Do we have anything about, like, for that situation, talk about for kids to come and talk to you, like teaching them to start a conversation when they find something inappropriate? Because my mom is my favorite sir. There's like this Brazilian educational group that makes these amazing educational songs. So she looked up Brazilian educational group on YouTube, trying to find the song. I think it's about prepositions, and it was all esthetician videos and all of these hairy hoo-haws. And even she was like, I need to talk to someone about what I just saw. This was disturbing. So I think, we had a lesson about, like, if you, I don't know if you do, I haven't seen yet, but if you find something, like, please talk to someone, like, me or a parent. And I think that would be good to add in the discussion that it happens, and it's better that you say that you found it versus getting in trouble for it later on. Because if you're upfront about it, you're not.
Absolutely. Engaging it. That would be important. It's not a lesson that we have. I definitely encourage that with students to come talk with you and kind of quiet and So
in these situations, we already talked about it many times. It's been solved. When I walk into our room, oh, okay. I'm not mad at what you're watching. I'm mad that you closed the back. It's usually some lame video that has guns in it. So yes, that's always going to be an issue. Kids are curious.
They are super curious, and sometimes you get in those black holes, and you just get looking at it. Move on. So image searching, we want to teach responsible, safe image searching. There are websites that are approved, and let's use those websites that we will find. All right, let's brainstorm for a minute. What suggestions do you have to embed? Yes, I will. I'll post them on Slack.
Okay.
So you guys have them. Yeah. I'll post it for you. All right. What suggestions do you guys have to embed in your life modeling positive digital citizenship? How can we start in this room by modeling?
When something unexpected pops up on your telling personal stories, but then I had don't know why on my teacher computer was sharing on the smart board, and an ad for Victoria's Secret popped up on YouTube, which you would think should have been blocked. It wasn't, but closed out of it. It was like, you know what, we're going to be mature, we're going to move on. This isn't what we're looking up, and you just go forward and just model not being fazed by it for your kids, or something funny pops up, like laugh with them and explain why it was inappropriate, why we need to get back on what we were looking for.
That brings up a point. All of our YouTube videos that we have linked, if you sign up for YouTube Kids and put those links in there, they'll all pop up there. So you won't have that
when you're looking for a video and pop up.
And then if you put a U2 in the URL, if you put a dash between the T of U and 2, it gets rid of that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Those are the key tactics.
Oh. Yeah, get rid of that. 'Cause that's really
Just in case you're looking for your own ones that aren't VTE bound.
Yeah.
Suggestion could be, using one of those safe search and adding it to your search engine instead of either Google.
Yeah.
I think I used to use Google Junior. Even though the kids kind of like skip the tab, but it was, I always said, let's use that one. And then all of them use the same thing. And they gave them most of what they were looking for, but it was just different stuff.
Something that I've used. I'm kind of curious to. There's some better ones out. There were a couple of sites.
Yes, video has to.
Where they would purify it, where it just doesn't show ads.
Yeah.
Kiddle's really good too. You had it up there, but I like Kiddle. So it's a kids online encyclopedia. So it has the kids save videos, the kids save pictures, and the kids save and kid level resources. So if they're doing a research project, it's not going to show them something from the Journal of Medicine. It's going to show them.
I was just wondering if
Yeah, no, Euchre is great, but Kindle is a good one.
Making a Google, not Google Document, but no G platform or a link page because you have Canvas, and have all of these safe search browsers in there, so that way they don't even have to think about using them. They're already there. Having the students bookmark them in their Chrome accounts was really helpful for me because then they didn't have to go that thing called again and then stop the left with the help them already earlier disable the
Yeah. And one of the things you can do with the older students, especially, is they can personalize, right, their tabs up top, their bookmarks. So there is lessons on bookmarks, but you can even just, do a one-off. Okay, today we're going to bookmark. These are the spots we're going to. When we search, we're going to click on this bookmark. When we are doing research, these are the pages you can go to. Folders within the bookmarks. It's actually a really cool way to manage bookmarks and where kids are going to, instead of just Googling, this is where we're at. And I think it's really good. So I've had students create folders and bookmarks based on their class. So if they're wanting math help, then you go to Khan Academy or the different math web pages, social language arts, social studies, all the different ones that they create folders for that they have. That's just part of it. That's actually a good getting a class, getting in the semester and revisiting it each semester with their classes. All right. Any other practical suggestions that you guys have for teaching digital citizenship? Yeah.
Well, usually at the beginning of the school year, I'll have them, one of the first class periods, we'll go over what the AUP is. Okay. And so one of the things on it is you cannot display or share inappropriate pictures. But I use humor, but I also want to be very explicit about what is inappropriate. Like, let's define it. So the kids will, raise their hand, they'll have suggestions, maybe they'll think of naked people, maybe they'll think of guns, but there's some things they don't think of, like any site that perpetuates hate of any kind of people, or, gory, gross, sickening types of images. And so we'll brainstorm it all on the board and like an example of, if the kids are, age appropriate, but like a hate site might be like, some people think the Holocaust never happened or things like that, and share, But the one that they just can't handle, they just lose it, is when you start talking about naked people pictures. But always make it like, if something, you're going to run into something by accident. I don't expect you to go searching for these things, but if you hit something on accident and you see something, then what do we do? Let's walk through it. It's like you should close your computer, you should come get the teacher. You only get in trouble, or it's only wrong if you share it hey, come look at this, and, you know, share it, then it's bad.
I always bring up those Fruit Loop commercials.
Yeah, they think pictures of people in their underwear is hilarious, you know. And then I'll give an example, like one time I was making a presentation and all I needed was a picture of a lobster. So I looked up lobster on Google Images and I found a picture of a extremely sunburned naked man. And they just lose their minds over that one. But, you know, you try and make it funny, like it's not your fault. We know you're not going to go looking for this stuff, but how we react and what do we do if we find it?
Yeah.
So, and also just being very specific about what types of pictures, what's inappropriate.
But I think emphasizing, like, as long as you don't share it and you're responsible about accidentally finding it, you're not gonna get in trouble, because I think so often that either they're gonna get in trouble, and then because they wanna talk about what they found, they show someone else, not necessarily to be a bad kid, but can you believe that I found this, and then it spirals out of.
And especially middle schoolers, they are hilarious and naughty at the same time.
Yeah, your Instagrams, Facebook's down.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same, like, funny, but wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and they know that, and they know that they're kind of in trouble. Yeah. So, I have one last suggestion for you guys. So, there are two podcasts that I think are highly educational. So, one is called Trends and Issues in Instructional Design. And I'll also put these out on Slack for us, Trends and Issues with Instructional Designs. And what I like about this is two things. I am always informed with what's the latest. And what they do is they actually spend 2 weeks, the podcast comes out every 2 weeks, and they take 2 weeks and they flip through articles and they curate their own flipboard. You guys know what the flipboards are. So they curate their own technology ones, trends and issues with technology. So they find what they think are the most important. They'll take them all and they'll see what's trending. So if all of a sudden that week there are 25 articles out on digital safety, and they also do hardware and software. So what's trending? This week's trend was Apple just put out a new Apple Air. And so that was trending. Everybody was talking about that. And for like the last 2 years, digital citizenship has trended. So it's a hot topic. And I'm sure it's going to continue to be so with all the different social medias out there. What's that? It's on all of them. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Yep. Yep. It's two professors, one from I think South Carolina and one from Fullerton. So right here in our backyard. That's where you're still. So that one, I find it excellent. I get a lot of really good tips, and it just keeps me up to date with what's happening, whether it's in the classroom, outside the classroom, with technology. And then the other one is It's Steve's Learning Unleashed. They have a podcast, and you're always getting great stuff from It's Steve. So I encourage you, if you guys are podcast listeners, to just put those in your rotation of podcasts to keep you updated with what's going on. All right.
There's a website that people created, both internally. And it's like a game. The kids like it because it talks about how to deal with bullies. And then they give them different scenarios and they have to, it's like different lands. So there was, every year we have to have like a whole week of digital citizenship. So that's one of the things that I have to do. And then also, those videos from Brain Pop. So we watch.
Common Sense Media has fun games on too.
There's a lot of Common Sense Media embedded in this. They're one of our partners. Sorry, you don't have to raise your hand now.
Give her a help desk.
I just want to mention also there's some really good videos linked to Class Dojo. They have a section on different topics like character traits, optimism, growth mindset, and I think there was one on or something related. But those are always good for just even like the younger grades, especially to get their attention and as an opening.
Yeah, so under that exploratory section of each project are those web pages, that's what I'll talk about, have them in there. If you find one for a lesson, you're like, this one rocks with this lesson, put it in Slack and share it with all of us, so that we can all have it and know, because we're all gonna be pretty much within the same time frame. The only difference will be how long you guys take with your coding section. All right, any other thoughts, comments, ideas on digital citizenship?
In general. I think, well, one thing that, Common Sense Media in particular has really good videos on, digital citizenship topics, especially, well, for all ages, but they have a separate set for the very young ones. And I think for the very young ones, they're not gonna do anything naughty. The worst thing that's gonna happen is they don't, take good care of their Mac. Like they might just like let it fall on the floor and step on it. We had a girl in TK, she just dropped on the floor and walked right on it and smothered broke the screen into smithereens. And she's like, no big deal, we didn't even notice it, But anyway, so just handling of the iPad in general. And then the other part that's really hard for the little guys is getting it back, out of their hands. And so Common Sense Media calls it pause for people. And so there are times and there are reasons when you have to give up your iPad or your technology. And so they have really good videos about pause for people and how you can, put that aside and, engage with your actual environment around you.
One of the videos Common Sense Media has is balance. Where they're talking about balance. It's not like we're getting rid of all media, but screen time balance. Especially with the world of COVID, we could not be. We had to be on the screen. So Common Sense Media has a lot of great ones. We've scattered.
Yeah, and they have these like crazy claymation cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Baby ones.
Yeah. Okay. All right, you guys stand up, take a stretch, and I think. Okay.
Play volleyball. The geriatric home, we played volleyball.
Oh, that's really fun.
I'm put it next to the wall and I don't have to worry about it.
My
I
favorite.
don't know, well, they left the voicemail, but I don't know, I don't know if it's.
My favorite was, I got a message saying, your name came up. What's the foundation? It's surname, percent. Heroin.
I don't have voicemail. I don't know what he said, but, I'm probably looking for a different field.
Automatically without independent information.
No, I'm gonna go into it right now, I have to invite. So, it's not like this morning.
Okay, after you do it. I mean, we're just-
Want to go read
I don't have any. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna show them that, but I'm gonna start with the Canva. Routine teacher proposal. Thank you. So, it's like when I first got on, it said like, these are all the people in your group, like, how much you want to put in your group. And I didn't want to scroll, so I just put the ones I can see right now. Yeah. Now I can't add the rest of them. I'm sorry.
How do you put a group message?
I don't read a group message, I just wanted to have like all of them in my feed or whatever.
So you would add it to the feed. So then,
It's like, why can't you just like click on their profile or something?
Right, at the very beginning, yeah, it says choose a few people you work with.
yeah,
Right,
It
but
just
then,
shows their avatar.
but I didn't choose all of the people in this room, I just chose a few, and now I can't add the rest.
so what I would do is, so you would need their emails, but like if you're doing Ernie's is,
Oh. I didn't see this already on the list.
or these are just people you have direct messages with. So you're able to contact all of them. So you want to message someone, say you want to message Charlie over there. Charlie. And now, Charlie, you're getting a text message from Colleen.
Flag, right?
Yeah.
We have Christina.
So see now,
Yes, that's actually my daughter, she was doing.
okay, yeah. So these are just your direct messages. And these are, so people, you know, your address book is everyone
Who's in BTE, baseball.
who's in the Slack.
I just got your message.
So like,
Oh, okay, well, there's people I don't know, like the.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, I'll try that. I probably have some.
like, she's not here, but she does, Edie sometimes.
I used to have
Yeah,
children.
yeah, your people are there, like direct messages.
Yeah.
Are there. Thanks, Charlie, you're gonna get
It
scored.
always comes off.
Thank you.
If everybody is correct.
No.
We have practice. But, I think I have a good friend.
Okay, Tracy, maybe have the same shoulders.
No, it's weeks for teacher.
Oh, but I.
You can have it to the flat.
I think it's it's not a 7 to 5. Every meeting.
You can have all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like,
We do.
I've gone off this. It's okay.
check in with your, you know,
It didn't. Oh,
instead of you.
I didn't when I did it. Because I told Rick because he sent me something in Excel and I was like, I can't open that.
You set up your email.
That's okay.
Don't read. I do email. Microsoft.
Growing.
Yeah, well, until we switch, until we
Medicaid, kind of like a CBEST, but like, can you read, can you write, do you have thinking skills? Like, can you read above a certain level, can you do math above a certain level? And that I was fine with, but when it's like, no, you need to know every single reading strategy, you need to know every single pedagogy, you need to know every single, like, thing about art and child development, and I'm like, I can't study this, and those things are expensive, they're like $90 a pop. And then if you fail, you have to pay another $90 and wait 3 months to take the next one. Yeah, so that's why I'm waiting for the emergency.
Wait, and Charlie?
Are you going through international?
No, I'm not, because it's a private school.
Okay, are you gonna get it? So a lot of, I don't know if Colorado, but at least in California, and I think it's across a lot of the US also, they don't tell you this because they don't want you to do this route. If you teach in the subject matter that you're getting your credential in for 3 years in an accredited private school, you don't have to do the CPAs. I don't know if Colorado does the CPAs, but you can do it that way. So you work for 3 years and there as well. Also, when picking your grad school, obviously one that works with your schedule location, but a lot of schools, private and public, have partnerships with a lot of these schools and will either want you to go through the teacher director program, or you can at least get a tuition discount. So I had a tuition discount at my grad school because there was partnership with the public school I worked at, because they provided student teaching options at that school. So I would definitely talk to your school first, because they might have options for you, because I found out about the private school option and all this stuff after I had gone through the program grad semester. So I would talk to your school. If you want. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you in your school automation?
The school can this year?
I know, talk with you.
Oh, sorry.
No.
No. Sorry. What's your school called? Day Spring Christian Academy.
I think it's on for.
It's an inside school, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And it's in, I think they're headquarters.
So then you should be able to, again, I don't know if Colorado requires.
Colorado Springs is their national.
Oh.
But it, in California, which is one of the hardest states to regulate.
Well, we skipped the one
Years
last
of
year.
classes and everything, but you don't have to school teach, and you don't have to do kids, which is, yeah, because having to pay to not get paid to teach is I think it's important the way it's set up.
Yeah, that's fine. For sure.
From COVID.
Right, we're down here, we ready? Okay, let's welcome Monica.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk to you about our BTE instruction model, and this was designed way back, the way, I don't know if you remember Veronica and Lisa and Jennifer. This is kind of the way how we prepared for the beginning of the school year, and this was part of our one of our policies that we need to have. So what I'm going to talk to you about is, this is our BTE instruction model, how to get ready before school starts. So the main reason why we're here is for you to complete your samples, at least have your Unit 1 samples, and post them in your class. That way our students, they know what to expect and what projects you're going to complete. One of the things that they always told me is you don't have to go through the whole all 4 units. At least get your first unit in and get your feet wet, and then you can work your way through with units 2, 3, and 4. So what she always wanted is make sure you print out your samples, be ready, and put out your bulletin boards. You would make your bulletin board to have your samples on there, and also You want to have your name on there so that way your teachers know, your students know that these are projects that, you created. Another thing that you need to make sure you need to check with your school is the internet policy use. All schools, they probably already have that when the parent signed, but there are some schools that don't have it. We do have one, just in case you want to make sure that the students have the internet use policy form completed. And you want to make sure that it's signed. Normally you give that on the first day of school. That way it's handed out. But check with your principal, check with your school before printing out all of the instructions, the internet form. And then also, I like to use name tags. That's one of the things that it helps me, especially if you teach at multiple schools. It's really difficult knowing all of your students' names. There's times where I have siblings and they're in different grades and I confuse them. Not unless, especially if it's a new school. So we highly recommend using name tags. I tried out Google Docs. There's a new way for you to do work on mail merge. It's not as easier to use as Microsoft Word, but it does the job. So I tried that, and I will show it to you later on. But we recommend typing, having their first name, last name, their teacher in the grade, and then also what I started doing is, especially with the younger students, typing in their email and their password. So that way it's easier for them to log in if they're using Chromebooks, if they're using the Google platform. It just makes it easier for them to sign in.
And so you use like actual name tags like that, like I used to, and I would have a stack of the 6 classes coming through. I'd have a stack of cards.
It's a 4x6, so it's a little bit smaller. I use a 4x6, and when I was using Microsoft Word, I made it where it was upside down so they can see. I used it both sides. So it's just up to you how you want to. But you would use mail merge. Is everybody familiar with mail merge? Yeah. No? In Google? No, in normal Microsoft. Oh. So we'll talk about mail merge and how it works for you. And then, the labels, that was for individual student folders or student portfolios. But now we're more on digital, so that's something that we don't have to worry about. That's something that we can remove. I'm not sure if you guys are using student portfolios, or is it just digital? Digital, yeah.
I check with my schools and I check with the teachers, and so for some schools with the younger grades, if the homeroom teachers already have like a name tag, I'll just kind of use what they use. But I also keep the folders to keep the name tags. Yes. And then I have what was like a password keeper, which is just where they can write down their email login. If there's other programs the classes use, they can add that. And sometimes the homeroom teacher, especially in the younger grades, they might have those laminated for their kids.
Okay.
So I just kind of want to stay consistent with what they use, but the name tags are vital, and I make sure it's double-sided because depending on the layout of the room and the way I'm moving, I might be, I might see this part of their screen, or I might be behind them. And so when their hands start popping up, you never know where they are. In some classrooms, if you're go into the classroom, they might be in groups, they might have different configurations.
Absolutely.
So those are vital, and then, especially when everybody's wearing masks and stuff.
And just having K-8, even just one school, that's really important.
You usually get it, you can find cardstock and you are staff. Okay, awesome.
And then also you want to make sure you have, this is, before school, once you talk to your principal or your school, if you have your schedule, you can put it up on Basecamp, like, we talked about. That way, whoever's visiting, or if, we need to contact, it's just always nice to have our calendar, our schedule on Basecamp. Or not unless if you want to put on Slack, just make sure you just upload it in today's for us. And then another thing that you want to have, and we made sure it's on every grade, are the letter to the parents. Everything is standard, so you will have to go in and make sure you replace the word teacher's name with your actual name. And then depending on your school, if it's 45 minutes or 30 minutes, just make sure you edit that and you change it. And then finally at the end, just make sure your last name, your name is on there when you're on your closing statement. So those are the things that we want to make sure that we have, or just to be helpful, which are your samples, at least for Unit 1, your bulletin boards, ask about the internet policy form. If you can have main tags for your class, and then the weekly schedule for Basecamp, and then your letter to the parents. So then what I'm going to talk to you about now are our teacher portfolio. So you want to make sure you have at least, you have to have one per class, and you want to have, I always keep the class schedule in there because, sometimes I forget the times. So you might at least want to have your time, you can even write it down on your portfolio, your class, what day and from what time to what time. And then you want to have your standards or your BTE standards. And it's helpful because that way, you can read off, and at the end of the day, what we used to do is you check off the standard that we covered. But it's just nice, kind of like a closing, just make sure that everybody was clear as far as recognizing the letters. Did we do that? Do we know what the mouse is? Do we know how or where's the button to turn it on and off? So it's just a way to clarify with your students the standards. We'll talk about that. And then also a class list. The way how I have the class list, I'll show that. And then your seating charts. Last year, when we had the whole COVID, we had the county come in, and I did not know this, but they were asking for seating charts just to make sure that we had our students separated, or at least they had enough space. But it's also good for yourself, just for management, just to know where your students are and where they can sit next to somebody else. So we recommend maybe asking your homeroom teacher, giving you suggestions as far as where can your students where they can sit next to each other, and then also the everyday notes. So we'll talk about everyday notes.
Just curious, who's in just raise your hand if you're in more of a static lab environment versus pushing in. So more lab, looks like they come to you.
Do you know what yours is?
So you push it.
Yeah.
So for the ones that are more the lab, like students come to you, the seating charts are really important. And when I was in a lab environment, I'd set the seating charts for the grades, and the homeroom teachers, I'd give them a copy, because often, if you're not there, you're there maybe once or twice a week. That space could be used for other grades, and it really helps those teachers, because when they go into that environment, anytime the students can get away with something, or they think, oh, well, I could just sit with my buddy, they're going to. So it's a good service to all the teachers if you have a seating chart for the lab, as opposed to pushing in, then you're going to deal with it.
Having it set 30.
Look fast, not to put these 2 points next to each other. Break them up.
Yeah.
And even if it is a rolling lab, and let's say you're going into their computer, even if you do, I used to have a rolling lab at my other school, and I would go into their classroom. They pretty much knew kind of, where to sit, but I also wrote down their computer number, just in case if anything went bad, or sometimes, they would just ask me to fix it or to look at it. I would know what computer.
See the history of where they
See the history. Yes, yes. All right, so let's talk about, I believe it's going to be class schedule. So you can create a class schedule on a spreadsheet. This is an example that I have for my school. And then there are some, for example, if it's a computer lab, teachers sometimes come in. So what I do is I share this with my teachers, and they also use this one. That way they know who's using it. And then I color coded where the 6th to 8th graders, they use Rosetta Stone, so then they'll make a blue block, and they know what that is for. And let's say I had to come in for makeup day because on Mondays if there's a holiday. Let's say I come in Wednesday, so then I'll use Wednesday, and that way the teachers know that I'm coming in as a makeup day, not as a normal day. And then that school they do STAR testing. They're an accelerated reader. So normally they come in and they fill in their gaps. So I recommend, I'm going to share this with you. If you have your own, you can use your own, but if you would like to use this format, and then all I do is, I just change the dates on top. But the teachers, sometimes they'll even help me out and then they'll change it on their own. Some of them that like to go ahead. And then, do you mind clicking on the class schedule link? It might skip you to a different one.
Access is denied.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So let's go on to the next one, which is the standards. So what we do, VTE, we make multiple copies. We have a copy for ourselves for that grade, and then we give our students a copy. And we put it in the folder, or we can put it on Google Classroom or Canva. Just so, parents want to know what they're doing and they want to see what is happening in their class, or even the teachers, they have this. So what I do is I place it in our Google Classroom in our stream. And then I also give them a copy. So that way, we used to check them off. Now we just read them over. But it's your choice if you want to check it off. This is just an example for first grade. So let's move on to class lists. So, we're talking about passwords. So yes, I have a class list. So normally, I have an overview with the whole school itself. That's one sheet, but then I also have one individually. So we start off with the last name, first name, their email, their password, and the grade. And I use the email and password when I create their labels for their name tags, especially for my little ones, so I can help them remember what is their password and what is their email. And this is for mail merge. But it's also helpful, sometimes they do forget, and I do give the teachers a copy of their username and their password because they use it in their class. I don't have passwords for 5th grade and above, so I tell them that's their own, but all I can do is just reset it for them. So normally on that, I'll just put little stars on there. And it's, just their own. So are you able to open
We'll try
up
it.
the-
Yeah, we'll try it. Access is denied on there too.
That's okay. So on this one, I have several sheets. I have the one for each grade and then the one for the whole school. Let's move on. So this is the seating chart. This is the layout of my school. So I have one for each grade. So it's just on spreadsheets, and it's just the station number and then the name in there. It really helps me, even for grading, because sometimes I forget who the person is. So then I'll think about, okay, where's this person sitting? And I know if it's sitting next to me, it's, for a reason. So it just helps me kind of like I'm more visual. And it's just helpful to have. I also give it to the teachers. I normally have them fill it out if they have any recommendations, and if we have to make some arrangements, we kind of go through it and see what will be best. And I also have one for the principal. She likes to see, what's going on in the school, in the classroom as well. And then let's talk about everyday notes. We used to have, it was more of physical copy. So it was something like this. right? So, and this is really important. Let's say I am sick that day and I have a sub coming in. It's just good to know where we left off. So this is the format, the layout that we have, which is the day, that's day, and then what lesson we worked on. So let's say it was Unit 1, Lesson 2. What is it that we worked on? Even though it's just Lesson 1, Lesson 2, there was something, whether they were stuck that day or we talked about digital citizenship, what is it that we worked on, and then what we will move on the next week. Now, there's times that we were working on 2 projects at the same time because my students didn't really finish the last week's project. So it just gives me an idea, and it also helps me when I come in the morning, where did I leave off? And then if there was no school that day or they were on a field trip, it's also important. That way you know what you're going to do when you come back. And the layout that I have on this one is I have 8 tabs, 1 for each grade, or 9 tabs, and then I have Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4 on the landscape. So that way I don't have to create new ones, it's just the 4, and then you move on. If you need to add more rows, you could do that, or if you need to add more space. But it's just a nice way just to keep your class.
The importance of this, it really does help us when we come in and say, okay, so how it helps us evaluate the curriculum, and where we can help you guys as teachers in any area. So these are really important notes for us to have, so we go like, okay, this worked for this school, but it didn't work for that school, and this project just took her 4 lessons versus 2 lessons, it's too much, or whatever. To just take any notes. I really struggle teaching this. It helps us.
I also used to have on there kind of like my challenges and my success on there. That's something that you might want to add. And then what I kind of was hoping is sharing this, with Laurelyn, or sharing this with BTE. That way we kind of know where you are. Just to keep that communication. And then if you want to share it with your principal also, or your teachers, just to keep them in the loop. If they're not in your class, just keep them in the loop and just tell them, where your progress is and what we're doing in class. Here's an example. And then what I'm going to do, I think I shared this with you already on Slack. Just an idea of before school, what is it that, might be helpful before school. And then also your teacher portfolio, how to arrange it. And then I'll sit with you with the Melmerge and kind of help you out and work on that. And then also, I'm going to talk to you about classroom management. You want to make sure you let them know what are your rules, your policies. If you want to have a reward system, what are the consequences? I like to use, as far as, the classroom management, I like to use what their teachers are using. Because, I don't want to do 2 different things. It confuses them. And my biggest thing is if the students know that I'm in communication with the teachers, they know, they know that, we're together. So it's just really important to ask your teachers what is it that they're using in class, and then implement it yourself. I know some schools, they use like golden tickets, and they also use it in the computer lab. That way, it's all one thing. And then if there's anything, I normally implement thumbs up and thumbs down. That's been like my thing forever. Especially with the raising hands. I don't know if they need help. I don't know if they want to share. So I always tell them, is it thumbs up or thumbs down? And they normally tell me, that they show me. And it also helps, with not being so loud. It's just more signals. We use a lot of signals. And you might want to have an opening presentation at the beginning of the class, just to let them know what are your rules, what we're going to work on, what are we going to cover this year, what are their expectations, your expectations, and just to set off a nice way to start your class. Any questions? Did you guys get that Slack?
So Julia and Morgan.
And
you guys will need that. Go back.
Oh.
The conclusion report. Yeah. That's what I will be coming in and talking
Okay, I will check out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When we have our one-on-ones. Yeah. Any questions, suggestions? Okay, all right, yes. Cool.
Trying to get access to what you posted in summer training on Slack,
Uh-huh.
and it's asking for access.
Okay. Oh, wait, I'm gonna begin. Okay. Julia, did you have a question?
Well, I was just gonna mention that, green, what is it, that sheet you just showed, the note-taking sheet. Sometimes it might be helpful, like, if you have a student that's absent on a particular day and they miss part of a lesson or that day's lesson, sometimes, I mean, it might be helpful to add it on your notes page, rather than have to like refer back to your attendance
Yes.
list, right? Just because, there's a lot going on. And that's an easy way for you to know which lesson exactly that they missed. So
Yes.
it's attached.
And there's times, there's been events where there's picture day. And then that half students go take their pictures and then have a student and they're switching. So you really don't get much done. So, that's something that you want to kind of make it yourself a note. I'm gonna go into my drive. See it. Okay, well, I'll make sure you guys get those files. Yeah, I just, you got it. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Yes, it's all available for you on the Slack. Yes.
Yeah, if you want to just leave the mic there for Morgan, she can come grab it.
Alright, what you guys have been waiting for? Yay, so I'm gonna explain Slack for you guys really quick. So I private messaged everyone their post-op passwords except Julia, because you're not on Slack, right?
I'm on it now.
You're on it now?
Yeah, I think Ernie invited me.
Okay.
But I don't see any curriculum files.
It would be under, which one is banana?
on making the teacher dashboard better. Right now, it shows the percentage of how much they've worked through, but as teachers, that's not really helpful because 25%. Well, how much is 75%? So they're working on changing that to.
Right now, it shows the percentage of how much they've worked through. But as teachers, that's not really helpful because.
Easier for us. And then for the final project, they have, right now, they have. to
How much is that?
Sorry, it's the delay. Sorry, the audio is cut, but it's the delay. Sorry. So sorry.
That you can choose from. And then for the final project.
The option this year, you won't be in the option next year, to do the whole 13 attributes that they have. So that would be really learning HTML pretty extensively for the students. So if you want to take, that would be option this year, you won't be in the option next year, to do the whole 13 attributes that they have. So that would be really learning HTML. Pretty extensive for the students to think about. So if you want to take, that would be option this year, you won't be in the option next year, to do the whole 13 attributes. So that would be really learning HTML. Pretty extensive for the students to think about. If you want to